Hey everybody. Sorry, I had a little tech issue on my end. I'm going to start off by apologizing for my appearance. You'll probably hear the wind whistling around my office as I talk. So I am bundled up because it is cold today. But I just wanted to jump on really quick. I've had a few people through my practice, as well as clients bringing this to my attention. So I thought it might be kind of interesting to share with you what I am seeing in terms of women's health as it relates to COVID. Now, as I say all of that, I am not a medical doctor. This is not meant to, um, be in lieu of doctor's information. This is purely informational and observational based on my work with my clients and what I'm seeing in my practice. Okay, so all of that said, I have seen some really interesting responses to either people who have gotten COVID or people who've received the vaccine. And I totally welcome, I'm looking to see if I have any comments. If you are catching this live, feel free to write in the comments if you have experience with either of the things that I'm discussing today, or feel free to write underneath the replay later, and I will go back and answer as we go along. But what I have seen for people in my practice who have had COVID, COVID often makes the period disappear. And that is probably the number one observation from my clients, is that their period disappears. So why does that happen? When your body diverts resources to another place, you will actually see, oh, I think I froze there for a second. When your body diverts resources to another place, whether that is fight or flight mode because you have 100 unanswered emails in your inbox, or because you have a serious illness, the body will divert resources to the survival needs first. So it will rob your reproductive system of resources and energy that it needs to perform some of those functions, because it's operating from a place of fight or flight. So when you're in a position like that, oftentimes the period will either look really funny or it will disappear entirely. One of the most common observations that I have had with clients who have had COVID-19 is that their period disappears, not only while they have the virus, but also during the recovery period. So there are women that have just not had a period for several months after they have had COVID. And so I wanted to just address that, since it's, real-time information, and it's an observation that I'm starting to see over and over again in my practice, that if you or someone that is female has had COVID, it is very likely that your period will disappear. And the reason for that is because your body goes, holy cow, we need to protect the body. And it will take resources from the period and divert it into your survival, because periods operate from a place of abundance. So I love the Eastern medicine model, where they talk about filling a cup with resources, and the overflow from that cup is your period. You're supposed to be operating from a place of abundance to have your period happen in a healthy manner. Excuse me. Pregnancy also comes from a place of abundance. So if there's any issues with your period, usually it's a sign that your body is looking for certain resources. It could be rest, it could be nutrients, whatever it is. If there's something wonky with your period, it's because there is something stealing some of those resources from it, so that it's not operating from a place of abundance. Okay, so if that is the understanding of how our period is supposed to work, is that we fill the nutrient cup every month, or the resources cup, because rest is part of that. The overflow, that abundance, is what is supposed to be our period. So if all of those resources, all of your stockpiled, rest and nutrients and all of that stuff go to resource other areas, the period literally dries up. So for anybody who has had it or knows somebody, do not be surprised if your period disappears entirely. Okay, so I wanted to just put that out there. I've seen that there have been some questions that have come up in some forums where people have been like, hey, anybody here had COVID? Did your period disappear? So that is important to know. The other thing that I have seen, and I want to keep this fairly short because I know everyone is busy, but the other thing that I have seen very commonly, and I'm checking to see if I've got any comments, none yet. But the other thing is people who are receiving the COVID-19 vaccination, all of my clients so far, that I have been made aware that they have received the vaccine, they have had weird bleeding in the middle of their cycle. Okay. So I think this is also a strain situation on the system. Now, again, this is just me speaking as an Eastern medicine practitioner who has had a series of observations that are all congruent. But my belief is that when the vaccine is introduced into the system, people are having symptoms as a result of getting it. There are a lot of people that are experiencing flu-like symptoms, body aches, and obviously there's a longer list. Feel free to dive into it. But sometimes they will see a side effect from the first vaccine, but that's been like 50-50. But the second one has been where people have seen a letdown in the middle of the month. And I believe that it comes from the fact that you're introducing something foreign into the body, and the body's trying to figure out what to do to deal with it. And so it can, that additional strain on the system can trigger a letdown. So if we look at some of the 7 common triggers that will have people let down early, prematurely, either spotting in the middle of the month or before day 28. Some of those common triggers, they don't even necessarily have to be negative. Weddings and honeymoons sometimes can trigger periods to come early when they don't normally. A loss of a loved one, a health challenge, a move, a job change. The job change could be positive. It could be, hey, I got promoted, but just that change can trigger, and not in all cases, but is very common to trigger some sort of mid-month weirdness, either spotting around ovulation or your period coming early, or a combination of both. So we're seeing that same type of phenomenon happen with the vaccine. You're introducing something into the system that is upsetting the equilibrium in the system, and it's actually causing bodies to let down early. Like I said, I'm working with a fairly small sample size, but every single one of my clients that has had the vaccine, the second installment of the vaccine has triggered red blood letdown prematurely, so meaning in advance of when their period is supposed to come, in every single one of those cases. It's pretty common knowledge that the second vaccine is a little bit harder to tolerate than the first one. And I'm not going to speculate at all as to why that is, but that type of information has come to the forefront, pretty commonly, and people are talking about it. But from my perspective, it's been 50-50 with the first vaccine. Whether people are seeing any, I'm going to call it weirdness with their period. So really any variance from their normal menstruating pattern. And And then with the second vaccine, they absolutely do see something happen with their period. So I just wanted to hop on and talk about this for just a few minutes so that, I can make you guys aware that this is happening, so that, if you do have COVID or someone has COVID, if they talk about the fact that their period seems to be missing and they're not sure why, that is why. You can always direct them to somebody like me. I am working with clients who have noticed their period go missing from the shock of having COVID. A lot of it is resourcing the body again. Obviously, I can't provide you with the rest that you need, but I can help you with the Chinese dietetics food therapy side of it, as well as steaming, if that's something that you're interested in. I do offer both of those tools independently, but I find that for female bodies, that the use of both of those tools in concert gets the best results. So yeah, I didn't want to take a ton of time. I just kind of wanted to let you all know that this is a thing that I'm seeing, and that it's fairly common. Let's see, let me look at the comments really quickly. Yes, so being on your period, getting the second vaccine could very well create some changes in what you're experiencing. Supplements that I would suggest to help the body cope the second time. The more rest you can give yourself, the better. Because your body, by getting the vaccine in, is going to be in a fight or flight situation. So the more ways that you can try to calm your nervous system, whether that is rest, meditation, light yoga, practices that are going to help to calm your nervous system, are going to be beneficial. For anyone that does steam, if you steam after, that is incredibly helpful for your nervous system. It will help to calm some of that tinny energy that is going to be in your system as a result. So that is very supportive. Foods that I would suggest, really, you're looking to almost cuddle your immune system, your nervous system. Cuddle is not the right word, but I think you know what I mean. Like, take care of it and nurture it, kind of like you would a small child. So if you feel like you need to rest. Making sure you stay hydrated. Teas are going to be very helpful. I would say teas like nettle tea would be a good one. Hibiscus tea would be a good one. If you're feeling any symptoms of nausea, ginger is a really great one. Ginger is very warming. It will help with your circulation. It will help to calm your stomach. But any ways that you would normally care for yourself if you were feeling under the weather. I know it sounds kind of commonsensical, but sometimes people will get the vaccine and just try to power through. And rest is so important. So when we have people that have cycles that are either short or inappropriate letdown during certain periods of the month, the number one thing is rest, to help the body pump the brakes, to get the bleeding to stop. Okay. That's really, really important to remember. So even if it feels like you're being lazy, because I know as women, we're like, oh my gosh, here's this laundry list of things that I have to get done and I need to get them done right now, right? It can wait, okay? Because you need to nurture your nervous system, your body, and help it deal with the fact that you've introduced something foreign into it, okay? So let me see if we have any other, let's see, blocked out time to be sick. Perfect. Soup, tea, things that are very bioavailable, where your body doesn't have to work really hard to digest it. You are spot on with the tea and soup. I appreciate you too, Abby. Thank you so much for commenting on this. So if you have any questions directly for me as it relates to either I've had COVID, this is what I'm seeing, I would actually really love to hear from you, because I'm looking to build more information. Aren't we all, right? Looking to build more information about how the reproductive system is showing up or isn't showing up as a result of having COVID. And then on the flip side of that, if you've had the vaccine, I would love to know what your experience is, not only with having it, but also with what you've seen in terms of female reproductive symptoms that might have come out of doing it. Because, like I said, I'm keeping this real brief, just based on the data set that I have right now, but I always welcome additional information. And if commenting in, under the video doesn't feel good to you, feel free to send me a direct message. I love questions and all of that. So thank you so much for joining me, either for the live or for the replay. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to listen to what I got to say. And if you're interested in more information, either about Moon Essence and what I do, or just to have some additional information about all things female come to your inbox, please subscribe either on YouTube or to my newsletter, which is a great source of information. I put one of those out every week with just some fun tips and things like that that might help you in your reproductive health. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.